Hey, Mike.
Hey, Congressman, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. So, what'd you think of today's inauguration and the speeches and everything that happened just a few hours ago?
Well, I mean, it's always a very historic event. I think it's important to, attend. And just if I could first say, it's a very different inauguration, given the fact we're under a global pandemic, but also the fact that the Capitol was just recently attacked, by domestic terrorists. And so security was very ramped up. We had about 25,000 National Guardsmen and women. But I think the most powerful statement was that despite the Capitol being under siege, that we did certify the Electoral College. We just elected a new president, and the peaceful transition of power took place today, which is what our founding fathers prescribed in the Constitution so many years ago. So I think that was really the most powerful statement of the day.
Speaking of the transfer of power, this is not your first one. You've been in office since 2005. So, how was this transfer of power compared to the previous ones that you've been there for?
It was much smaller. There were probably about 1,000 people, very limited, but it was very solemn. A different tone that I think, honestly, the president I think hit a right tone in terms of a message that the nation I think needs to hear right now, and that was one of unification as a country, as Americans, one of healing, one of maybe listening to each other and trying to respect each other, and his reaching out to saying to even those who didn't support him to try to work together respectfully. I think it was a very good message for the nation to hear right now, almost like a grandfather with his grandkids telling them to try to all get along. We're in the same family.
And that was kind of the centerpiece, like you mentioned, of his speeches today. Do you think that the unity that he's calling for can happen in these next 4 years, or do you think it could take even longer to really get past or heal this division that we've seen?
Well, I think we're always going to have political differences, but it's just how you express yourself, and your rhetoric does matter. I think we can always have disagreements, but be civil in our tone and not disrespectful towards each other. I think there's way too much screaming and yelling going on right now. And I think his message is, hey, let's try to calm down. Let's try to heal and move forward. And I think there will be, times when I'll be the voice of loyal opposition, but there'll be many times like I have throughout my career where I strive to be bipartisan, because I find in doing so, that's the only way you can truly be effective, is if you're willing to work across the aisle to get good things done for the American people. So we'll continue with that effort. And I've already had his team reach out to mine on issues of national security and foreign policy. And I look forward to working with them.
And that's one of the things that you've talked about really for a long time, and just since I've known you through the election process, is that bipartisanship. So how important is that right now, not just for you, but for you to echo that to both sides of the aisle, your colleagues in Congress?
I think it's very important. And I think this president has an opportunity to bring both sides together with some humility, in a discussion about what's best for America. And I think that is the right tone that the nation needs. I think people are tired of the divisiveness. They're tired of the hatred out there. Then they want, quite honestly, they're tired of chaos, and they want to know that the nation is going down the right path, that we're going to stabilize, we're going to come together, and we're going to heal as a nation, because that's in the best interest of all Americans.
As a congressman, what are some of the actions that you think can help heal this nation, and what are some of the actions that you think the president can take to not just talk the talk of unity, but also walk the walk and actually try and make that happen in this term?
Well, I think his rhetoric will reflect that. I would hope those in his party follow suit as well, and I would urge people in my party to try to be responsible in the rhetoric as well. I think rhetoric got us in a little bit of trouble on last January 6th, when we certified the Electoral College. And I think that's a very strong message that, that your words do matter, and that we can be civil and respectful towards each other. Are we going to agree on everything? No, but that's not what American politics. We will always have, any family has disagreements, but we can do it in a respectful way, and that's what I would urge both sides of the aisle to do moving forward.
What did you think of the impeachment proceedings last week? I know that you voted no on it, but now that you've kind of had a few days or a week to kind of marinate over it, what do you think?
Well, I voted to certify the election because the Constitution required it. And the founding fathers gave that power to the states to decide the electoral college. Our role is only are the certificates authentic, and we count the votes. On impeachment, I thought it was a rushed process. We only had 20 hours. I was a federal prosecutor. It was like an indictment before the grand jury investigation, but I kept an open mind because I don't have all the facts in front of me. I don't know all the decisions that were made. I did call upon the Department of Justice to investigate the events of January 6th, including decisions that were made after the Capitol was being invaded and attacked. I'm curious as to what happened with the National Guard. Members' lives were at stake. It could have been actually a lot worse, believe it or not. But I'm kind of the jury without all the facts and the evidence, before me right
now. That's really the questions that I had for you regarding today's inauguration and everything. Is there anything else that I missed? Is there anything else that you wanted to add about these calls for unity that we've been seeing really from both sides?
Hope it lasts. I mean, we always kind of come together in these moments and talk a good game, but I hope members take it to heart, and I know the president, I think, does. And I hope we can move forward. This is a time when the nation really needs it, having gone through so much crises with the pandemic, with an attack on our Capitol. It's time to come together. And I think we have a responsibility to the country to do that. And I showed up today because, a lot of my constituents voted for the president. And I thought it was important that I be there to represent all voices in my district.
And actually, one last thing for you. This has been, I think, growing for a while now, but there is this level of distrust in American leaders. Do you think that this administration can rebuild that sense of trust in American leaders, in the members of Congress, no matter who, or no matter Republican, liberal, or Republican, Democrat, et cetera?
I think you're going to see partisans go to their corners and continue to fight. But I do think this president, just given his, his seniority, I think with that comes some wisdom. He's obviously, he's doing it for the country. And I think that he's the one, he worked in the Congress, he was in the Senate for many years, and he worked House and Senate. So he knows how Congress works, and he knows a lot of the members in Congress. So I think, in a sense, he's well equipped to take this on. I just hope that those that are in the Congress and his party would follow suit, as he would want it to happen. I think he wants to work across the aisle. He's worked with many of the House and Senate members. If we can keep the spirit of today alive, I think we can get that done.
Great. Well, I'm all set. So thank you so much, Congressman. I really appreciate it. And have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you. Good to see you.
You too. Talk to you later.